Hi folks, Mr. Ackman here, thanks for watching. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make what I call a composite image. It's an image made up of several different images, all kind of overlaid to give you this kind of effect. In this image I've taken a series of photos of my daughter at the playground, and I thought it would be neat to kind of put them all together to show her in a creative way, kind of having fun. So right now I am in Bridge, and I'm in full screen, so I'm going to hit the space bar to make that just a thumbnail. And you see I have a subfolder here with all of the images. So let's just get into here, and you're going to see that there are 7 images. Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you can see that the background keeps moving around a little bit, but not too much from image to image. Also notice that she doesn't really overlap her body from one photo to the next. So I actually shot lots of images, and I weeded out the ones where she was going to overlap, or where she wasn't looking at me, or where her body was in a position that I didn't like, because I really did want to see her arms kind of reaching from one bar to the next, and I wanted to see her looking in my direction and then stretching out again. So you choose the images, but really you have to be careful not to move the camera very much. Otherwise, Photoshop is going to have a hard time lining up the background, and your image is going to look terrible. Anyway, let's get back to all of these and see what you have to do to make this happen. Click once on the first one, hold down the Shift key as you click on the last one, and they will all be selected, or you can just do Control A if they're the only ones. And then we're going to double click, or if you want, right click. Now don't open them in Camera Raw like we usually do with individual images, just open these in Photoshop. Photoshop is going to launch, and you're going to see 7 images open up with the file names across the top of the screen. So let's let Photoshop do its thing. So here you can see that in this image I've got my first one, here's my last one, here is the second last, and so on, moving all the way back. I just like to have things organized. I like to put the first one at the front here. Whoops, I don't know where it's gone now. There's the first one, it didn't get too far. So I like to slide that all the way to the front, or to the left side rather. It just helps me remember where everything is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So what I do is I click on the first one. That's my bottom image. Now, my first image. My second one, I'm going to go Select All, Control A on a PC, Edit, Copy, Control C on a PC, go to the first image, and paste it. So Edit, Paste, or Control V. And then watch what happens. Well, the bottom image just disappeared. But here, under Layers, you see there's actually 2 things, which are actually the 2 images. If you're not seeing this, by the way, go Window and make sure that Layers is checked off. Okay? And now look at this. This little thing that looks like an eye, if you click it, it turns off what's called a layer. This is kind of like taking 2 photographs and plopping one on top of the other. The top one's going to cover up the bottom one. So if the top one's visible, you can't see the bottom one. See, it doesn't matter what you do here. But if you keep the bottom one visible and you hide the top one, you can see the bottom. So the bottom one is always named the background. We're going to click here, double click, and it'll automatically ask you if you want to rename that layer 0. Just click OK. Never mind why, just do that. So layer 0, layer 1. And now that I've already got this one used, it's copied, I'm going to close it because I don't need it anymore. It's going to be too much clutter. Go to the next image, Control A, Control C, Control V, and there it is. Now look, if I turn that off, I see the second image. There's the one I just did. Let's close it. Do the same for all the others. Control A, Control C, Control V, close. Control A, Control C, Control V, close. And 2 more times. And last one, Control A, Control C, Control V, and close. And now, in this image, I've got 7 images, numbered 0 through 6. And if I turn off the visibility, you see where they all are. Now, I just noticed as I was doing this, I must have got the order a little bit wrong because this one jumps and that one goes back. So I can just click and drag a layer into a different position. and now things make a little bit more sense. There we go. That's just going to help me in the step that's coming next. Okay? Now, the next step that you need to do is to align all of these. So click on the bottom one or the top, and then click on the other end. Hold down Shift as you click. They're all selected, and you're going to go to Edit, and what we want to do is auto-align the layers. Photoshop is now going to ask you want automatic or some other projection. Click automatic, okay. Let it do its thing. It's going to look for things that don't move in the photo, and when it sees common things, it's going to align them, and it's very good at doing this if you haven't moved your camera. So let's let it do its thing, and now look. If I start turning off the visibility of some layers, you see my daughter's moving, but the background is staying really, really steady. On a tripod, this would be perfect, but this is not bad for hand holding. Okay? Now the next thing you need to do is click on the first layer and go down here, add this thing called a layer mask. And do the same for all of your layers. Don't ask why, just do it, because we haven't, at this point, when I'm making this video for my students in this course, we haven't really talked about layer masks too much, if at all. So don't worry about what those are, just trust me, you need to do it. Now, click down here on your second photo so that the layer mask is highlighted. And what we're going to do is undo the visibility of everything except for the first two images. Now, remember, this layer 1 is blocking the visibility of layer 0. So, what I need to do is in this white space, which is basically telling me, yeah, white means let this layer cover everything, we want to black it out in one area, the areas where it's blocking my daughter over here. So, I go down here, and I make sure that this square is black. If it's not black, hit this bent arrow until it turns black. Then go up here to the brush and click it, and then you should see a little circle here. If it's about this size, great, that's what we're looking for. If it needs to be a different size, just adjust the size this way. So I think it was around 150, so there we go, we'll leave that. And now watch what happens if I start clicking and just dragging over this area. Suddenly, magically, my daughter appears. Now what have I done? Well, maybe you'll get a sense for what I've done. If you look on the layer mask here, see where it's black? That means I've kind of torn open a part of the mask to allow me to see through to the layer below. And since my daughter was right there, that's what I get to see. And since everything is aligned, it doesn't look like anything else has changed. Now what do? I show this layer. Now this layer is totally visible, so click on the layer mask. And now because it's white, it's covering everything. So let's black out the areas where we want to see through. And now I get to see down to the next bottom layers, both of them, right? So there we go. And because she's not overlapping herself, this is a really easy thing to do. And you can see all the black in there. Now, hide those by activating this layer. Click on the layer mask and start doing this. We call this painting. You're kind of painting black into the image, and you're making the bottom layers visible. You're allowing yourself to see through. Now, I'm going to zoom in by holding down Control plus, and watch in here. See what happened with her foot there? I don't like that, how her foot is cut off. I don't mind if it gets blocked by the foot in the other photo, but I do mind if it's cut off. It looks really ridiculous. So I might just zoom in here to do some finer work. Now Control minus to zoom back out, and we're going to continue this process. We're almost done. We've got to do the remaining images, and we're going to see a little bit of kind of slight overlaps where I've got to zoom in and do a more careful job than what I'm doing here, but the basic idea is the same. Control plus to zoom in. See where her hand is cut off there? So I'm just going to do that. Perfect. If you need a smaller brush size to do a little bit of small, finer work in there, that's okay. That looks good. Maybe I could do a little bit of a touch up there by going back to this layer where that shoe was being hidden. Perfect. Control minus to zoom back out. Finish up these last two layers real quick. Oh, this brush size is too small. I've got to go bigger. That's good. Get in there. I'm not going to be too careful at this point because I think you get the idea. Okay. That looks like it should be good enough for our purposes. And finally, last one over here. Activate that. And here's the last one. And now the rest of it is just coming through really nicely. I could be more careful with this. I'm sure you guys will when you do it, but I want to keep this video as short as possible. Anyway, that's about it. Control 0 to fill the frame. Now notice these little areas on the side here where Photoshop did some cropping and it left that sort of weird pattern. All that is just areas where it couldn't find background that kind of made sense, that overlapped perfectly. So I'm just going to crop that out, hit enter, and now Control 0 to fill the frame. I can slide this over. Do I like it? Yeah, looks pretty good. Now, at this point, take the file and save it, and I'm sure you can guess this is going to save as a PSD. It's going to be a big file. That's okay, it's got a lot of information. Maximize compatibility, no problem. And if I go into Bridge, remember how I had my 7 images here? Well, here's the 8th one, which spacebar to make it bigger, has everything. I can see a few areas here that need to be revisited and fixed up, like down there, but no worries, I'll do that another time. Right-click on this, and, oh, sorry, no, what we want to do is rather go back to Photoshop, go File, and hold on, if we close this, the one we just saved, and we go File, Open, we can find that PSD, and we can hit Options. For you guys on the school PCs, this is Open As, by the way. I'm just using I'm using a more recent version of Photoshop. Open it in Camera Raw, and now I'm going to get all of the editing that I normally do. Like, yeah, I want this a little bit brighter, great. I want a little bit more contrast, no problem. I would like the black level down a bit to make that a bit punchier, fantastic. Add a bit of vibrance, great. What else could I do here? I think the temperature's probably fine, and I'd warm it up just slightly. Maybe I want to go to the HSL sliders, and for the brightness, the luminance, I could make the blues a bit brighter because of the poles there, and maybe make them darker and richer. You know, you do whatever you feel is needed in here to fine-tune your photo. And once you're done, as usual, we're going to hold down the Shift key and open this as an object. So it's going to reopen in Photoshop now, looking the way I want. And now I could File, Save As. I'm going to save it as a JPEG, and I don't want it to be a massive file. So I might set the quality level. Instead of 12, which is 9 megs, maybe I'll set it down to 8, which is 2.4 megs. Perfect. So there we go. And in the end, back to Bridge just to see what I've done. So here is my final image. I like it. I hope you guys enjoy doing this. Be creative. Think of a composite image that you could do that might be your profile pic on Instagram or some other social media, or that you could possibly print and have in your home. I think it would be really cool. Give it to your parents as a gift, whatever you want. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in class. Bye for now.